All right, everyone. We are super excited to have Neely, Gracey with us today and her son, Rome. So he's hanging out.
Hi, everyone.
Yeah. Super happy that she's willing to chat with us and talk about pregnancy, returning to run, and all the details, share with us some exercises and a lot of tips. So thank you so much, Neely. I do want to do a little intro about you. Some of you guys, probably a lot of you know her already, but a pro runner that currently is taking a little break right now with her 2 kids, but she was quite an accomplished runner early on. And she says you started running in 8th grade, right? And then did you run for your dad? Like your dad was a coach for you for a long time, right?
Yeah, my dad coached me from 8th grade until I joined the Hansons. So all the way through high school and college.
Right, because he was the coach at Shippensburg University.
Yes.
And she was an 8-time D2 national champion, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And what I think I was so impressed with you by was your debut marathon. That was your debut marathon, was it? Was it 2016?
Yes.
So it was your first pro marathon race.
Yes.
And she finished first female, USA female in that race. And what was your time? It was like
2:35 flat.
2:35 flat. Yeah. And Boston. So,
Yeah.
ooh, tough course.
I know I'm representing Boston today.
Yeah.
It felt right since it's Boston week.
That's right. Thank you. Thanks for the positive vibes. Yeah. And so tell us a little bit about your running career, and then we'll start talking about your first pregnancy.
Yeah. So I've been running for a long time. I think this is my 18th year of competing at a pretty high level. And I feel like I'm at the point in life where like running is just part of my daily routine. It's just what I do. And so one of the really neat things kind of over the course of my career so far is that running has been a constant, and it has evolved and like met me where I'm at in different phases. And so, I've run Boston and New York as a professional athlete, training at a very high level, running, 100, 110 miles a week, where all my everything went into my performance. And then right now, like I run with a stroller most days, and I'm running, maybe 20 to 30 miles a week, just really chill, no workouts. And it's still there for me in like all these different levels, based on like what my goal is at that time. So that's been really special. But yeah, I'd say, I am a distance runner. I've kind of evolved. I was like a miler in high school, 5K runner in college, and then I've just kind of continued to notch up the distance. I've only done 3 full marathons though, and I feel like that's kind of where my heart is right now when I return back to competition, is pursuing some goals at the marathon level. And I would say most notably, I've qualified for the last 3 Olympic trials. So 2012, 2016, and 2020. And so that's kind of my next focus is I want to get back when the window opens to qualify for the marathon for the 2024 trials.
Awesome.
I love how you said that running's been like a constant for you through like all different phases of life. I can totally relate to that. And we'd love to hear a little bit about the running that you did during both of your pregnancies. So maybe the types of workouts you did, the strength training you did, kind of how you navigated that during pregnancy.
Yeah. So my first pregnancy and my second were very different when it comes to running. My first, I was coming off of an injury. I had taken a month off. I was just in like really easy base training, running like 30-ish miles a week. I felt like my body was a little bit under fueled. And so I needed to gain like a little bit of weight there. And I think that kind of contributed to the injury issue that I had that fall. And so when it came time to like decide that we wanted to try to get pregnant, I knew that I couldn't be training at a high level at that time. So I ended up getting pregnant pretty quickly. And we kind of had like, well, either we'll run Boston or we'll get pregnant. And so we'll just see like which kind of shakes out first. And so I ended up finding out that I was pregnant in early December of 2017. And then Athens was born in July of 2018. And I had to stop running at 18 weeks. I felt terrible. I was so exhausted. I was super sick the whole time with him. My body just was not in a good place. I had a lot of aversions when it came to food, especially all vegetables and protein. So I was eating like a 5-year-old, like crackers and pasta and pizza. And that was like all of it, like I could really stomach. And so my body just felt really off. And anyways, Athens was super healthy and that was my main focus, but it was really challenging to not be able to run, and to like lose that part of my routine. And so I kind of went through this like identity crisis, because I was coming from like, I was a professional athlete. That was who I am. Like, that's what I identified as, to like, oh, I can't even run and I'm pregnant and everything is changing. And I was not really prepared for that. I definitely thought I was like, oh, I'll run till the day I have him. And, my body had other things to say there. So I really enjoyed when I was able to get back into running after that, but it was definitely like much more challenging than I had initially expected. Second pregnancy, totally different. I was running 95-mile weeks when I got pregnant with an IUD. So my body was very extra healthy. And that was a little bit of a shock. I found out last year, the day before Halloween, when I was just at my annual OB appointment. And she was like, we're going to be taking your IUD out. And I was like, what? And she's like, yep. And we need to figure out what's going on.
And how old was Athens at the time?
Athens was 2 at the time. Yeah. And so my running was like really going well. I was training for the marathon project in Arizona. I really felt like a PR was like on the docket for me. And so Rome had other plans, and he was much kinder to my body during my pregnancy. And I don't know if coming in, like running and being at such like a fit level helped, or what it was, but my body was just so much more relaxed. I wasn't that sick. I ended up running every single day of my pregnancy, 1,961 and a half miles.
Wow.
I tallied it all up. And obviously by the end I was doing like 1 to 2 miles a day, but I still really enjoyed getting out. And I didn't set a goal of like, I want to run every day. It was just like, I'm just going to give my body the opportunity to run every day and see what happens. And there were definitely some days where like I would make it to a mile and be like, nope, I feel terrible. And I'd walk home. But then there were other times where like I would randomly run 10 miles and I felt great. And that was even into like the 3rd trimester. So, by the end I was only doing like 10 to 15 miles a week. But it was really fun. So yeah, I ended up running like the day that my water broke, and I took a full 6 weeks off with both kids. and from running. With Athens, I started cross training like 2 weeks after, and I don't really think that helped me, and it wasn't actually that fun. I felt like I was forcing it. I just felt like I was supposed to, and so I was trying to like, get fit again. Where with Rome, I was like, it's fine. Like I know it comes around at some point. The fitness will return at the appropriate time, and forcing it really got me nowhere because with Athens, I ended up with like a whole string of injuries postpartum. So yeah, it's going really smoothly, way more smoothly this time.
Awesome. So let's talk a little bit about the running during pregnancy. Give people a little bit of idea, like for an elite athlete, when you did feel good your second pregnancy, first pregnancy you didn't run very much. Second pregnancy with all the running, like what kind of mileage did you feel like you were doing first trimester, second trimester, third? Like how do they compare?
Yeah. Again, I didn't have any like real, like my husband coaches me, and I was like, I don't want to plan. I don't want anything on my calendar, because if it's on my calendar, I feel obligated, but I'm way better just listening to my body if I don't have an expectation. So first trimester, like I said, I was doing like 95 miles a week when I got pregnant. I did a 23-mile long run when I was like 4 weeks, but didn't know. And so I ended up, I think I tried to do like one like 20 miler in that like early phase of pregnancy, like around 7 or 8 weeks, like right after I found out. And I felt like pretty terrible and was like, what's the point of doing this? So I significantly reduced volume in the first trimester to more like 50. And that kind of felt like a happy spot for me for a while. I was doing like one like little fartlek-y type workout a week, and that was just like more to mix up the day-to-day. But at around 14 weeks, I stopped because I was just like, I noticed that then I would feel pretty tired for like a couple days following that. And I was like, I'd rather just run and enjoy it. I definitely slowed down quite a bit. And I think that is a huge difference from my first pregnancy to this one. My first one, I was coming off being a pro, and I'm like, oh, I run 7-minute pace every day, and that's easy. And what's the point of running 9-minute pace? Where this time I was like, I'll run 15-minute pace. I don't care. I just want to be out running. And so I really just shifted like that expectation of pace. And I was like, I just want to be out and like maintain my routine, because to be honest, like the past year and a half has been really hard. I think everyone has felt that, and running was like my one steady. And it was the one thing that I felt like I was in control of. And it was the one thing that helped reduce a lot of the stress and anxiety that I felt throughout the day. And the one thing that still felt kind of normal. And it was my one time to get out of the house and like have a break. And so, being home with Athens, I really felt like just having that hour or two to myself in the morning made such a difference. And so to me, it was just more important to keep that time than it was to run hard or fast or push myself or, do more than what was necessary.
Nice. So did you feel like the mileage kind of stayed pretty consistent first and second trimester then,
I started to feel even better second trimester, and kind of got like a little surge of energy. I think at 12 weeks, I did like a little 5K that I had my team do. That was just like a virtual 5K. And I ran 18, 19. And that was like at altitude in my neighborhood, like by myself, and that was actually like really fun. And I really enjoyed like kind of pushing myself a little bit there. But then, like I said, at 14 weeks, I kind of just stopped doing harder efforts. But I actually felt better, doing that harder effort than I expected at 12 weeks. And then my mileage just slowly over time cut back. And I stopped doing long runs and just kept kind of everything under an hour. And I adjusted more to do time versus miles. So then that way I was just focused on like overall, hey, I'll try 30 minutes or whatever. I remember my birthday is in April. And I turned 31 and I just wanted to run 31 minutes. And so that was like my plan for my birthday. It was like, I'm going to go out and run 31 minutes at, 8 months pregnant or whatever. And like, that was really fun. And it was a great little goal for me. And it was very attainable at that point. And then by the end, I was just doing like 10 to 20 minutes a day.
Yeah. And did you have any problems running during pregnancy, aches or pains, like back pain, hip pain, leaking?
No,
issues?
this time it went so much more smoothly. So that was one thing I did differently this time as well, is I used the maternity fit splint starting at 16 weeks because I didn't, like last time my back like SI joint was all messed up at 18 weeks. And so it was like, I don't want, like once that happened, then I had to take 2 weeks off because it hurt so bad to even walk and blah, blah, blah. And so this time I was like, well, I'm going to be proactive and like start even earlier. And so I started wearing it. And I think that made a huge difference for me. So I wore that like the whole way through. And I didn't do that the first time around. I think I like waited too long to start wearing it. And yeah, this time I had a little bit of knee pain just when I felt like my angles changed a little bit. But I didn't feel it when running. It was only like after, when I was like crawling around on the floor with Athens, like, who knows? So yeah, this time I felt pretty good.
That's great. It's great to hear.
So I'm curious. So you said with both pregnancies, you started running again at 6 weeks, you said, postpartum?
Yeah.
How did you determine that timeline? Like, were you working with a pelvic PT? Like, how did you kind of know you were ready?
Yeah. So with Athens 3 years ago, it was kind of like, all right, like if I take 6 weeks off, that's way longer than most people do. And so I felt like really good about that. And when I started running, I just did, I went to my OB and she cleared me. And then I was like, all right, cool. I like wore my running stuff there and like ran right after. And I did like 10 by run a minute, walk a minute. So I was like pretty cautious with, I didn't run like a full run until a month later. So around like 10 weeks, I guess, is when I did my first like 20 minutes straight through and not like didn't include walk breaks. But I still don't think I was ready to run at that point. I think that not only had I only taken 6 weeks off, but I also had taken 6 months off from running. And so it was like, I remember getting back from that first run and a friend was like, how was it? And I was like, everything is jiggling. And they were like, oh, okay. But I don't think I was ready. I don't think I was ready to run. I don't feel like my body was in that great of a place. I think mentally I really needed to run at that point. So this time around, I was super like, all right, I'm just going to wait till my body's ready. If that's 10 weeks, cool, whatever it is. And so I saw a pelvic floor PT locally, before Rome was born. And she kind of got like a feel for how my body was, talked me through some like strategies for prepping my body for labor. And then kind of a few ideas of like, all right, this is what you can just start doing, on the other side. And then of course, like I've done Recor after having both kids. And I feel like that's been really helpful. I did admit to Celeste that I don't feel like I was as diligent this time around as I was the first time around. With Athens, I was like, I did it every single day. And I was like, followed every video to a T. And I feel like this time I was like, all right, I think these are the exercises for the week. And like, I'll try and get them in a few times. But I feel like maybe that's better for me because I can get very, very overly focused on things and maybe obsess too much over it. So I think it probably was like better to have a little bit more of a relaxed approach for me this time. And plus I just knew what felt more normal and like the strength that my body needed to have to be able to start doing things. But then I saw my pelvic floor PT at 6 weeks. So I didn't see my OB until 8 weeks actually, because I just couldn't get in. And so I was planning to wait until after I saw her anyways. But I saw the pelvic floor PT and she put me through like a whole series of strength and stability tests, which I feel like were so much like made so much more sense than it just being like, oh, you're not bleeding. And like, okay, you seem fine. Like, it doesn't feel like your uterus is falling out. Cool. Good. Like, go for it. It was so much better. And it was like, can you hop on one foot? And then you hop on the other foot. And then you can do single leg squats. And then can you, jump across the room? And can you do these like different core exercises? And can you jog in place for a minute? And can you walk for an hour? And it was like all these like checklist things. And I was like, yeah, I can do all this. And so I like did the test like right before 6 weeks. And I was like, I like did everything. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to like wait a couple days. I'm going to do it again and see if I really can do everything. So then I like waited a couple days. I did the test again. And I was like, maybe I am ready. I like emailed her and I was like, okay, like I've done the test twice and like it went really well. I felt totally fine doing all the exercises and I didn't get sore or tired or like fatigued after. What does that mean? And she's like, I mean, that's kind of like the point is like, if you feel good, then you can run. And I was like, all right, sounds good. And so I went, and then same thing, I started with run walk every other day. And I felt so much more prepared and ready and stronger this time around.
Awesome. Love that you were able to see the pelvic PT and get all those tests and really kind of prep your core. I know you did core work during pregnancy, right? Both pregnancies. Was the exercises during pregnancy much different, like what you did the first pregnancy versus the second?
No, I feel like I did pretty similar stuff during. I was able to lift more in my pregnancy with Rome than I was with Athens, because with Athens, I would get round ligament pain if I lifted. So I had to just do a lot more body weight stuff. With Rome, I was able to still do some weighted stuff. And so again, I think my body was just less stressed this time around. I guess I just got lucky. I don't really know why. I didn't really do anything that different from one to the other for them to be so dramatically different.
Yeah. And are you up for showing a few of your favorite exercises from pregnancy? Like maybe there's a few core exercises you remember, or any other exercise you just really loved doing while you were pregnant.
Yeah, that's a great idea. So one of my absolute favorite exercises, both for pregnancy and postpartum, that you've had me do, Celeste, is the wall squats. And I have done these like with weights as well, or just like this, but sometimes I'll just go down and hold. And then this was a lot of like the postpartum, like rebuilding the core and re-engaging things here. And I really liked this one. So I would just hold for like 30 seconds and then take a break. When I was pregnant, I would do a lot of my squats this way because it took some of the stress off of my knees and it helped me feel like I could have better form. And again, like I didn't want to irritate my back. So doing stuff like this really helped me prevent like any irritation on the back, since that was something I struggled with before. So this is one of like my favorite exercises. Also really good for downhill courses. So Boston and CIM people will take note. You can really help develop that quad strength. And so I really liked that one. Another one that I really like is just standing and you're really activating this glute and then kind of pushing into the wall and into the ball with this one. And I like this for both during pregnancy and after as well.
Those are both
and
awesome.
I can't remember if that's one that you had me do or not, but it's
I don't think that one may not have been in there. But I do also really love the wall slides with the ball because you go deep, deeper than a typical squat. Or at least for me, I have really long legs and short torso, and a lot of people get deeper in their squat and feel safer.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's definitely one of my favorite ones. So those are two standing ones that I really like. And then I really always liked when you would have me do those circles on the ball. And so this is one again that I did both like during and after. And one issue that I had with Athens was actually during labor, my pelvic floor was too strong and it like wasn't allowing him to like come down. And so with Rome, I did a lot on the ball here, in preparation for labor, because it was like a way that I could kind of open up that area a little bit more, but still like keep my core engaged, and just kind of create that like mind muscle connection to my pelvic floor. And so doing ones on the ball here have been really, really helpful for me, both before and after. So yeah, like circles each direction. And I always feel like this really helps with like just my overall body. I do these like still, not just because of being pregnant or in early postpartum phase. And then like kind of the pelvic floor tuck here on the ball. And that was one that I really liked. And then early postpartum, one of my favorite ones that you had me do were this guy where you're just like leaning back slightly, and then going forward and leaning back and going forward. I forget what you called these.
Yeah, I just call it the reverse Nordic, that one. And then sometimes the sitting version where you just, that one is a little more,
and that was a little harder.
Yeah, it's a good early one to do.
Yeah, so I really liked this one because I felt like I've been able to progress it so well, where like now I can go back so much further, but I can feel and see the strength building. And so that's one that I just found to be really helpful and one that I do all the
time. And another good prep the quads for hill running exercise.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'll just say really fast. So we will have time probably at the end for like some questions. So if you're on Zoom, feel free to like post up questions in the chat, and send them to everyone. So not just like one certain person. And we should get to those at the end. So be thinking of questions.
Yeah, I forgot to say that at the beginning. So definitely.
I did too. It's okay.
So let's see. Postpartum, any other favorite exercises you really like working on?
Yeah, so I felt like with Athens, I got in the gym too quickly. And again, I was like just really excited to like get to do stuff again, and my body was just not prepared or ready for it. It was basically like I had to start over completely when I came back, both with running and with strength training with Athens. And this time I haven't had to start from like ground zero. But I'm also being like way more cautious. And so I I've been trying to get into the gym, our garage, like twice a week, as my goal, but I've only been doing about 20 minutes, and I pick like 6 exercises that I do like 2 to 3 sets of, and that's it. And I feel like it can be like really easy to overdo it. And also, like a little bit of work can go a long way. And I've been finding I actually get really sore from just that like 20-minute session because, you know, I'm like working things I haven't worked for a little while, and slowly like adding in more and more weights. And so I just started doing hex bar deadlifts again, but I'm not adding plates. So I'm just using the 50-pound hex bar, and that's it. And so I've been like slowly working up with that. I'm doing like assisted pull-ups, some bicep curls, which is always one that I enjoy doing. So I do like 15-pound dumbbells for that. And then I've been doing some TRX stuff, which I also really like.
And are you doing speed workouts now, or are you saving that for later?
Yep. I have been running, about 5 to 6 days a week. And I'm just, everything I've run an hour as my furthest, which was 7.5. And that is the longest I've gone. Some days I'll do like 2 or 3. 5 is kind of my like happy spot. Like I said, sometimes it feels like a workout because I'm pushing the double stroller and that's really hard.
That is a workout.
But it also, I notice my form is definitely altered when I'm pushing the stroller. And so I try to have 3 days a week where I don't have to push the stroller. I don't have to do it like back-to-back days, and give like those muscles a little bit of a break. But I get like really sore in the front of my hips when I push the double stroller for like longer than a few miles. So like that's something that I'm kind of like working up to and trying to figure out what I need to shift form wise to kind of help take some of the stress off of that. But yeah, for right now, I don't plan to be doing workouts for a long while. I heard this bit of advice and I feel like it has been super helpful for me this pregnancy. But it's that when you're pregnant and then postpartum, like that's not a time to work on your weaknesses. Like focus on your strengths, focus on what comes naturally and easily and like what you're good at, because it's hard enough already. And for me, that's speed. And so that's why I stopped doing workouts at 14 weeks, because it was like, there's no point here. Like, I feel like it's just going to overly stress my body. What comes more easily for me is just like the more endurance type running. And so that's where I'm kind of focused. It's just like, I'm just running aerobically, keeping things relatively chill, enjoying the time that I get to be outside, enjoying that special time with my kids. Athens has started to want to run too. So he like jumps out of the stroller and will run with me for like a minute or 2 here or there. And that's been really fun. And like, I've been meeting up with friends again to run, which is something that I've really missed over the last 1.5 years, because I'm a super social runner. And so that's been like so special. Is I legit have like a goal sheet, and one of my goals is like run with friends. And so I like get to check it off if I run with a friend. And like that's like been really fun and special to me. So yeah, I'm not doing workouts. I probably won't start workouts until the beginning of next year. And the first thing that I'll start is doing some more like form drills and speed, like prep stuff, to get my body ready. So that then when I do start, I'll just start with strides and then just really slowly build up. Because I think that I fractured my femoral neck when I was coming back after I had Athens, and it all kind of started after I started doing speed workouts.
And I was going to ask you about that, if you want to talk a little bit about maybe some of the struggles or injuries you dealt with postpartum, whether it was just the stress injury, or did you ever have any leaking pelvic pain? Did you feel like you struggled with diastasis recti at all? Any of those things?
Yeah. So like I said, I feel like if anything, I have like too strong of a pelvic floor at times, and I don't like relax it enough. And so I've actually had to focus more on like relaxation, because having too strong like causes also other problems, which may have led to some of like the hip stuff too. But the first injury that I got postpartum was shin splints, and I was like super baffled. I had like no idea what was going on and why my legs hurt so bad. And it like literally took me way longer than it should have as a runner and a coach to diagnose myself with what the problem was, which was shin splints, which I hadn't had since I was like, a sophomore in high school. And so that felt like kind of silly. But one thing I realized is that I couldn't just run in my lightweight trainers anymore, that I was carrying extra weight and my body was not as efficient, and that I needed more supportive shoes and more cushioned shoes. And so once I kind of figured that out and I transitioned out of my lightweight trainers and into like the Clifton Hoka, it made such a difference and I felt so much better. So that was like my first round of injury there. And that was like several months of trying to like get it under control once it kind of all happened. And then my second injury, hi, Athens.
You can come say hi.
Yeah, Athens, do you want to say hi to the camera? Hi. Athens just got home from school.
We have tape upstairs.
There is tape upstairs. We're doing construction. All right. So I had my second injury, which was the hip thing. And
How far
it was
along?
this was at about 9 months postpartum. And I had just kind of started to wean Athens. And I think that there was like a lot of hormone shifts happening. Plus I was adding in speed workouts. And I think it was just like too much all at once. And my body was also just like felt like more of a fragile place than it should have been. And now when I look back on it, I can kind of see why, but obviously hindsight's 2020 there. And so I was like out doing a workout in the final mile of my run. All of a sudden it was just like a stab in my hip, and I like barely made it home, and I like couldn't move, like laying on the floor hurt. And I was like, what is wrong with me? Like, and I had zero pain there ever before. It was like such an odd sensation. And I really was like super upset about it because I was like, there was no warning sign. Like, is my body, oh no, you're okay. Is my body just like, is it just done? Like, is it just like not going to work with me anymore? And then I started working with a nutritionist. And I think that really helped kind of turn things around, because I realized that I wasn't getting in enough protein, that I wasn't getting in enough electrolytes, even though I wasn't training at like a super high level yet. I was just really depleted in a lot of those areas from pregnancy and breastfeeding and trying to train all at once. And so I started taking a postnatal fish oil. I started doing like protein shakes every day, and really focusing on getting at least 1 bottle of electrolytes, if not 2 per day, boosting up my magnesium, pumping up the vitamin D, and all those things have kind of really made a big difference. And then the other thing I added in was collagen, and that was like a new thing that I hadn't done. And I feel like that kind of combo all helped my body come around. And then I was able to get back to some of my best training. But this is something that I don't recommend, but it was the Olympic Trials year. And so it was like, I really wanted to qualify. And when I was pregnant with Athens, I wrote on my goal sheet, like, I'm going to qualify for the 2020 Olympic Trials. And so like September, I was just starting to run again, like run, walk, coming back from the femoral neck fracture. In October, I felt terrible, like literally went for like a 20-minute run and like walked home. And I was like, I don't know what's wrong with me. I ended up at urgent care because I thought I had mono, and they were like, actually, you're just really tired, like your mom, and you are exhausted. And I was like, what? It's so embarrassing. And so they basically were like, you just need to give yourself like time during the day to rest and recover. And I realized what I had been doing is every time Athens snapped, I was like, I'm doing all the things. And I would like cross train, and I would like clean the house, and I would work, and I would like get everything organized and done. And so I was just like never sitting down. I was just on the go. And then he wasn't sleeping well at night, and I was up a bunch. And I just like was not recovering at all. And so I finally started to like rest when he rested. I stopped cross training. That way I could like give my body time in between runs to actually recover. And we started doing some sleep training stuff to try and get him to sleep a little bit better. And it worked, and it was amazing. And in November, I was like, all right, I'm going to sign up for Houston. And I was only doing like 30-mile weeks at that point. And so I had, from the time I like signed up for Houston and like started actually training, I had 6 weeks to qualify. And I ended up going to Houston and qualifying. Do not recommend it. Would never suggest that to my athletes, but I checked that goal off.
It was a short chance to do it, right?
It was well, this is the deadline. And like, if I want to make this goal happen, then this is the option that I have.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. It's pretty amazing what you have been able to do when, you know, with all you've gone through, and you've had 2 pregnancies now. And I know we have some questions for you. Like, I know you do your running coach business, and you've been doing that since 2013. So tell us a little bit, you mentioned it a little bit, but you want to try for the 2024 Olympic Trials in the marathon, right? So what are do you have any specific goals, running goals that you want to work on besides that?
Yeah. So that's kind of my next thing is I don't want to rush this. I kind of want to give myself the time that I have in these precious little young years with my boys. And so I really enjoy being home and having the opportunity to have my own business, you know, enjoy my own running, and then get lots of little snuggles in throughout the day. That's just the place that I want to be right now. Athens just started school, and he goes just in the mornings. And that's been really nice. And so I know that like my time will come where I'll have the ability to actually put in the training. And right now is not that time. So for me, I kind of see 2024 as like, all right, that's like kind of my next focus of like when I want to start getting back into the swing of things. And then beyond that, I want to run all the majors. So that's been really fun following Shalene and her quest to do that. Though I won't do them all in 42 days or whatever it is. And so that's a goal of mine. I'd love to make another US team. I've been on 5, and you know, kind of eyeing maybe like a world cross again at some point, which I have lots of really fond memories from doing over the years. And then I also really want to go back to Boston and New York and run those courses again, because they're really fun, and I have such good memories of those. So I definitely have some goals, you know, time wise, like, I don't know. I don't know what time I'll be able to run. I'd love to break 2:30 in the marathon. I feel like that's kind of been that barrier, and I've been in shape and ready to do it. And it's just never quite happened. Boston was pretty warm and my first, and I kind of lacked a little bit of confidence in those middle miles. And then New York, my fueling fell apart. And I kind of bonked the last 5K. And then, Houston was just to do it and run that one time to get the qualifier. And then I was prepping for the marathon project, and then that race didn't happen, but I finally got the fueling piece figured out. And so I think that's going to be my ticket moving forward, is that in race fueling, where I figured out what my body needs and how to keep my stomach happy and all that.
Yeah. And your half, I'm sorry, I know Aubrey's got some questions. Your half, what's your half PR? I know it's really fast.
Yeah. I've run 69 minutes for the half, and I was the 11th American to break 70. So that was pretty special, and definitely I like the half distance the best of all of them. And I'm excited to like get back to that. And I'd love to run a PR there, or at least close to it, and like prove to myself that that wasn't just like a one-time thing. So yeah, I definitely foresee lots more halves in my future.
Yeah, amazing.
I loved what you said a few minutes back, just about the importance of like recovery and the importance of nutrition. I think a lot of times postpartum, I think it's hard to feel okay prioritizing yourself and prioritizing taking the time to focus on those things. And so I just think it's really awesome that you're a coach and that you're talking about these things to other people, that really need to hear that in order to keep healthy and keep progressing athletically and stuff. So I just think that's really cool. Do you work with pregnant and postpartum runners ever with your coaching business?
Yeah. So this past year we had, when I was pregnant, there were 12 other pregnant athletes that I had that I was working with, which really fun. And so we've kind of all been in this like phase of life together, which has been super special. And so some of them are just starting to trickle back in after they've had their babies and get cleared and like have done all of their PT work. And so that's been really fun to kind of reconnect with them, and like we can relate on so many levels to so many things. And I would say that's like a pretty big passion of mine, is to get to work with mother runners, whether they're, pregnant or postpartum or have, kids that are a little bit older. I just feel like it's a gift that I can give to them, is having a coach who gets it and recognizes, if they have a bad night's sleep, we're going to adjust things and we're going to move stuff around. And I'm always erring on the side of more conservative, because I know all the other demands that we have going on in our lives. And so just trying to encourage them to be like patient and kind and understanding to themselves during the process of, training while being a mom also. So yeah, that's been really fun and special. But overall, we have about 120 athletes and we have 3 coaches. And it's definitely really exciting to see how the business has grown, because when I started it in 2013, it was like, I'm injured, I need like something to do with my life. And like, I went to college to be a coach. And so that was like something that I knew I wanted to do, but I thought I was going to be like a collegiate coach or something. Eventually. And I was like, well, I'll like try this whole like online thing. Like Stephanie Bruce does it and like she's doing really well. So I talked with her, I talked with a couple other online coaches. And then I started with just like 5 Facebook friends, and it's just like kind of taken off since. And so that's been really fun and special. And then the other kind of special thing that's been going on in my life is I'm working on a book, and that's coming out in April. And so it's specifically for female runners who are chasing a goal. And I'm really excited to get to share that with everyone soon.
Oh, I love
Super,
that.
super exciting. And that's when again, hopefully the launch?
In April.
Okay.
Mhm.
Oh, good. Yeah, so I know we need to let you go, and poor Rome is probably like, Mom, I am done. But
It's done really good.
you know, last question is, how do you think mom, you know, being a mom has benefited your running and professional career?
Yeah, it's funny. I was just talking with Sarah Vaughn about this the other day, and I was like, if I had the perspective and mindset that I have now with the time that I had before kids, I would be amazing. It's like, it puts so much into perspective. You don't overthink training. I find that, you know, before it was my livelihood, it was everything. And my whole day was just focused on like getting fitter. And so, I feel like now I run, you know, even last fall when I was running my 95-mile weeks, it was like, I did it all in singles because I don't have the time to do a double later on. And I would like put in the work and the focus, and like, then I would shift mindset, and I didn't like stress and obsess and overthink the workout or what happened, or, you know, I was 2 seconds off with my pacing or whatever. And I think also like being busier allows me to dial in with what's really important, and then recognize that like outside of that, the best thing I can do is rest and recover. And so I would always like kill two birds with one stone and be like, okay, well, I have a coaching call, so I'm going to sit in the Norma Tech while I do that. And then I'll have my, you know, hydration and my protein like right beside me. And I could like, you know, just, I was so much more focused on making all the little things happen that whenever I had all day to kind of get in my training, I felt like I wasted so much time and like emotional energy. And so, yeah, I feel like being a mom has actually made me a much better athlete. It's just putting it all together and, you know, getting through these like early phases where, you know, I'm clearly not training and don't have a goal at the moment. But I'm definitely excited to put it all to test at some point here where I realize it's more about, you know, the appropriate amount of focus and understanding and perspective for like each thing that I have going on in my life. And I think it's also really helpful to have multiple hats and not just one identity. So being a coach, being a soon to be author, being a mom, and being a runner all like make me a better person in every single aspect, because it's not all my, you know, eggs in that one basket of hoping that that one thing works out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Well, can you tell us where can people find your coaching business? Where can they find info on your book? Yeah, where can they find out stuff?
Yeah, so my website is getrunningcoaching.com. So you can learn more about me there, learn more about my business there. And then I am most active on Instagram at Neely S. Gracey. And as I have the ability to market the book, I will be posting stuff about that. And yeah, I'll be looking forward to sharing that news and, you know, more officially soon, but I am allowed to talk about it, and I'm excited to kind of start getting the word out there about it.
Yay.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today and giving everyone your, you know, what you learned and your tips and tricks with running, returning to run. We will put out the recording for everyone who wasn't able to make it and they signed up for that, so they can register for that still, and then probably next hour if they haven't yet. But thanks again, Neely, and it was great to see you and have Rome hang out with us. And yeah, we had a bunch of people on Zoom and a few on Instagram, which Zoom is better viewing anyway, so that's good.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, thanks guys. It was really
Yeah.
fun. I appreciate this opportunity.
Yep. Thanks again.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.